Jim Harbaugh apparently is rolling the dice, wanting Mike McDaniel as the Chargers' new offensive coordinator. USC football hires a special teams coordinator, we think. And can we form a human wall? Not to keep ice out of Minneapolis, but to keep Lamar Odom out of Las Vegas. Good morning. I'm James. And this is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. My goodness, do we have a ton to get to today. It is January 21st, 2026. Welcome back to Ice Station Bravo in Michigan. Do you like being in the know about LA sports? Well, if you do, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop an update. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. Now, before we go through the news and notes, a quick look at the scoreboard. Like I said, we got a ton to talk about. Lakers 115, Denver 107. Chicago smashed the Clippers 138-110. UCLA 69, fourth-ranked Purdue 67. Signature win. This is more like it. Donovan Dent scored 23. And the Kings edged the New York Rangers 4-3. Meanwhile, tonight, Northwestern is at USC at 8. Elijah Arenas' mom took to the socials to say her son will debut tonight. Dude, we want to respect you. But moms? Really? With that out of the way, what do you say we get to the news? Because life never fails to surprise, right? ESPN reported last night that the Chargers want to hire deposed Dolphins coach and lifelong pajama boy Mike McDaniel as offensive coordinator, replacing Greg Roman. This is an extremely confusing hire that should set off alarms. This is not the type of hire that you would expect Jim Harbaugh to make, because he said all along, all throughout his tenure with the Chargers, all throughout the time he ever started to put on a headset and wear khakis, they wanted to establish a physical identity. He wanted to change the culture of the Chargers. And actually, I believe the word that owner Dean Spanos used was reimagine. For decades, this is the change that Harbaugh was originally brought in to make. For decades with the Chargers, it could have been John Hadl at quarterback. It could have been Dan Fouts and Eric Coryell. Could have been Phillip Rivers. Chargers football was about throwing the ball all over the gridiron. It was even in their theme song. We're going to light up the sky, excite you with high voltage plays. So Harbaugh comes in and again wants to punch you in the mouth until you submit with a running game, which I can appreciate. But now 2 years later, all of that is gone, because that is not the way McDaniel runs an offense. It isn't. He came from the Mike Shanahan coaching tree, which relies on speed, zone blocking, not power blocking like Harbaugh wants. The West Coast offense, outside zone runs. Zone blocking and power blocking are not the same thing. The Rams rebuilt their entire offensive line specifically due to that. The Dolphins offense, by the way, I'm not going to front. I'm not going to claim McDaniel was never successful, but that success came from having Tyreek Hill, guys. Tyreek Hill was the focal point. There is no cheetah on the Bolts roster. So for me to buy this hire as something that Harbaugh is totally in on, I have to believe that Harbaugh, who has been running power offense since Stanford, probably since his days at the University of San Diego, and winning with it for almost 2 decades, now wants to say, to hell with it. My way sucks. We need to throw the ball all over the place with personnel that doesn't fit the scheme. I don't buy that. Not for a second. And by the way, how exactly does this protect Justin Herbert? The last time McDaniel was given a franchise quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, he's now walking the streets of Miami with a piece of paper reminding him what his name is. Now, I have no evidence to back up what I'm about to say, but something tells me Harbaugh is not in on this all the way. Something tells me that ownership or somebody above them in the front office was like, yeah, we can't do power running. We got to change completely. Never mind that your offense made Stanford a national threat while you were there. Never mind that you got the San Francisco 49ers to a Super Bowl with that offense. Never mind that you won a Super Bowl, that you won a natty in Michigan. 4 miles away from where I am, they still have the banners up. But now they just want to throw the ball all over the place with personnel that doesn't fit. So I'm not trying to troll Charger fans when I say this. It's also possible that Mike McDaniel will change his offense to fit the personnel around him. But he didn't do that after Tyreek Hill blew out his leg over in Miami. If you want to sit there and tell me that this offense is going to score more than 3 points against New England in a playoff game, I will listen to that. Absolutely. Absolutely. But this is not why Jim Harbaugh was hired. It wasn't. I think it's a bad idea. If you're a Chargers fan, let me know what you think in the comments thread. Meanwhile, USC did in fact hire Mike Eckler away from Nebraska as special teams coordinator. Only at this moment, we still don't know what his job is. Is he going to be special teams coordinator? Probably. But his role wasn't immediately defined in reports, and that's still going to lead to speculation about the possibility he's going to coach the linebackers. Because he coached linebackers at USC a little more than a decade ago. Not only that, coached linebackers for 4 years over at Tennessee. Keep in mind, it was also reported that Trojans' current special teams coordinator, Ryan Doherty, is expected to stay on as an analyst. So in other words, we don't know which role Eckler has yet. Special teams coverage breakdowns, in other words, returns for touchdowns, played a role in 2 of USC's losses. So yeah, Eckler could help there, but linebacking performance also nosedived for the Trojans last year. Mike Entz left to become Fresno State's head coach. He was replaced by former NFL defensive coordinator Rob Ryan, who for a linebackers coach has pretty long hair. Either way, USC is going to have a new punter, long snapper, return specialist. Eckler's special teams at Nebraska blocked multiple kicks and punts last year without getting blocked. So all I can say is, if I were to guess what Eckler's future really is, they hired him knowing they had a job for him somewhere. But the job might not be defined until the Trojans have a new defensive coordinator and Lincoln Riley goes to the new DC and says, hey, do you want this guy or should we have him over at special teams? That's my guess. Meanwhile, we don't put a lot into the way too early top 25 rankings because it says in the title, this is way too early, which is another way of saying we don't know what the hell we're talking about. But I want to bring up ESPN's Fever Dream rankings to show what the scribes are thinking about the state of USC football. The Trojans are 13th. Now, this isn't about saying, oh, what disrespect. Somebody give me pearls to clutch. What I think it means is that so long as the college football playoff structure stays at 12 teams, Now there's a teeny weeny chance it might bump up to 16, but for now it's 12. The scribes are looking at the Trojans and they're saying, listen, we want to buy in. We've seen the work. But until you show us something, you're still going to be on the playoff periphery. And yeah, there are reasons to believe in USC. You're returning Jaden Maiava, all 5 offensive linemen, 2 top running backs, and oh, by the way, the best high school recruiting class in the land. But they understandably are hesitant. If you're a Trojans fan, let me know what you think in the comments thread. Lamar Odom, 2-time NBA champ with the Lakers, a former Clipper, and somebody who was emasculated by that big old Kardashian booty, was arrested on suspicion of drinky-drivey in Las Vegas last weekend. It is his second DUI arrest, not a conviction. It's all alleged. You might recall, though, in addition to that, he was found in a coma after partying for several days in a Nevada brothel. Several days. If refractory period was an official stat, there would be a statue of Lamar Odom outside Crypto.com arena, I swear. Let me tell you a little story. First time I live in Las Vegas, right? I walk to a nearby sports bar after I unpack, and the bartender tells me I would love living in Las Vegas as long as I didn't become a gambling addict or an alcoholic. He didn't mention anything about the brothels. Maybe he looked at me and said, incel. I don't know. But Lamar Odom needs to be banned from Las Vegas faster than people from Ocean's 11. And I don't believe in profiling because I've always liked Odom. I've always liked the guy. But if you see Lamar Odom in Vegas, don't even wait. Just call 911. And one other thing. Dude went from Kobe Bryant's right-hand man to Hall of Fame simp because of Kardashian butt. Just like Kanye, just like Odell Beckham Jr. You could put all 3 of their jerseys up in the rafters of Simp Arena. Not to go Andrew Tate here, but is a big butt really that important? To just lose your dignity completely? Not to mention your privates? Maybe we men have got it all wrong. Maybe we should be ahead of the curve by going after chicks without curves. Just saying. It was only a matter of time before the scribes with questionable repute signed back into the chat about potential Laker trades. There is a Laker rumor that has been amplified by the clickbait hustlers, saying that there is preliminary trade discussions with Charlotte about forward Miles Bridges. This is from a reporter named Evan Sidery, who writes for something called Kalshi. Kalshi. Have you ever heard of Kalshi? Has Kalshi ever won a Pulitzer? Of course not, because it's a sports betting platform. Gambling and the news. This is like Ben Bradley going to Woodward and Bernstein saying, no, we don't give a damn about government corruption, Watergate, the Pentagon Papers. No. What's the over-under on how many times J.D. Vance is going to knock up his wife? We want people betting on that. And by the way, side note, shout out to the vice president for being the Philip Rivers of the Trump administration. There's your hillbilly elegy for you. By the way, this reporter listed 3 other teams going after Bridges, including the Clippers. You know what he didn't list? Sources. 0 sources. Moreover, do you really think the Hornets are really that interested in trading with the Lakers after the Mark Williams debacle last year? Anybody think that? Anyone? Longtime viewers of this program know that we avoid the clickbait porn that are those hot, nasty, some would say sleazy Dodger trade rumors, other than, of course, to mock them. We didn't put much cred at first into Kyle Tucker coming to LA. Why? Well, because scribes were projecting the dude was going to pull $500 million with the contract. And a contract so long that it would last until he needed a subscription to Hims. The Dodgers were never going to go for something like that. But then they waited, terms changed, the Dodgers struck, right? Well, now The Athletic is reporting the Dodgers are looking at trading with Milwaukee for starting pitcher Freddie Peralta. Anybody else find that a little curious? The Dodgers already have a rotation of Blake Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Shohei Ohtani, Tyler Glasnow. I mean, such a deal, by the way, would cost a ton of prospects. Because not only is Peralta Milwaukee's ace, he's still 29, extremely durable. He's one of a handful of pitchers to start 30 games in each of the last 3 seasons. Struck out 200 in each of the last 3 seasons. And oh, by the way, his salary is only $8 million for this year. And oh, forgot to mention, the Dodgers might be in a bidding war with the guy. Media outlets on the East Coast report the Yankees and Red Sox are in. So is it feasible? Yeah, I guess. Assuming that there's a lockout after this season, adding $8 million to the payroll is chump change. It also wouldn't surprise me if the Dodgers, though, are being used as leverage by the Brewers to try to gouge more prospects out of the Yankees or Boston. The Athletic reported that a number of Major League Baseball owners are so enraged at Tucker joining the Dodgers that they will push for a salary cap, quote, no matter what it takes, unquote, according to a source. 2 things. For the legions of Dodger haters, Andrew Friedman built the Tampa Bay Rays into a World Series team back in the day when he had nothing to offer the players but EBT. 2, here's the problem with the salary cap. What do you do with the luxury tax? Right? How much can you tax with a cap? The Dodgers pay so much that they literally fund entire teams' payrolls that aren't their own. Sacramento, the Dodgers pick up the tab. Pittsburgh, the Dodgers pick up the tab. Do you really think the Pirates want that gravy train to slide off the tracks? Andruw Jones, arguably the biggest free agent bust in Dodger history, has been elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Ick, let's turn the page. The Galaxy have signed left back Johnny Nelson to a contract through 2028 with an option for 2029. He came in a trade from St. Louis City. He was the team's Defender of the Year in 2025. Unfortunately, that defense conceded the most goals in MLS, but I digress. Angel City FC co-founder Julie Ehrman will step back as team CEO in March, so saith The Athletic. And this was kind of expected for 2 reasons. 1, the team was sold to Disney CEO Bob Iger. And when it comes to Disney, the mouse is not going to put fat stacks of cash into a venture that the mouse won't control. That mouse bought Lucasfilm. If the mouse wants to make Indiana Jones and Darth Vader make out on Disney Plus, then Darth Vader better buy some lip gloss, my dude. Second reason, Angel City has sucked from day one. Let's just be real about this. Both women's pro sports in LA stink, but at least the Sparks had a past. Angel City has always been failing because they've had dual missions, soccer and activism. And with such a focus on virtue signaling, they put zero energy into winning soccer matches. The LA Kings have sent forward Andre Lee back to their minor league affiliate in the Inland Empire. My condolences. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about the idea of Mike McDaniel as Chargers OC. Am I wrong, or do you think you see my point? For that matter, what do you imagine is going to happen with USC's coaching staff? And if you enjoyed this update, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day. Thank you for watching. I'm James, and we'll be back tomorrow with a much shorter episode. Faithful Angelenos is a Keon Cortel Queso production. Take care.